Coming up on Network Africa, Nigeria honors fallen heroes in 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Ceremony. Suspected Marburg outbreak kills 8 in northwest Tanzania. Plus, Kenyan Minister Justin Muturi alleges intelligence agency behind his son's abduction. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We begin from Nigeria, and as the country marks the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the mood at the iconic Eagle Square in Abuja is sober and one of reflection as top government officials stood still to honor the unmatched patriotism and sacrifices of fallen heroes. At the ceremony, the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu, led top functionaries from the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu, Chief Justice of the Federation Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, Minister of Defense, State and FCT Minister, as well as the service chiefs laid wreaths at the National Arcade. This was followed by a gun salute and release of white pigeons. Other members of the cabinet were also present to honor the fallen heroes and their families. The Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is an annual event organized by the Ministry of Defense to commemorate the country's fallen heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of humanity during the First and Second World Wars, Nigerian Civil War, Peace Summit support operations around the world, as well as various internal security operations. Well, several state governments have also been marking the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. In the South, Akpabio State Governor Pastor Umar Eno has called on Nigerians to avoid anything that will lead to the killing of members of security agencies as they discharge their constitutional duties of defending the territorial integrity of the country and protecting lives and property. Governor Eno made the call while speaking at the ceremony to mark the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Uyo, the state capital. He highlights the importance of the sacrifices made by fallen heroes and calls on Nigerians to encourage peace and discourage anything that will cause loss of lives of any Nigerian. Governor Eno also announces the donation of 150 million naira to widows of departed heroes and another 100 million naira to widows of departed police officers.
As the theme song of the Liverpool Football Club aptly says, "You will not walk alone." The widows of our fallen soldiers and those who serve the nation diligently will not walk alone in our state. We will continue to stand by you, pray with you, and give you our support. It is on this occasion, therefore, that I am announcing the sum of 150 million naira to be given to these women and to be disbursed promptly and accordingly to ensure that they carry on their trade. Let me specially also announce another 100 million naira to the police and other security agencies because they too have fallen heroes. And I stand here as a proud son of a police officer who gave his life in the line of duty.
Meanwhile, the River State government has joined the nation to mark the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration at an event held at the Isaac Borough Park Cenotaph in Port Harcourt, the state capital. After laying the wreath at the foot of the unknown soldier, Governor Siminalayi Fubara was joined by the Deputy Governor, Speaker of the Pro-Government Assembly, the Chief Judge of the state, heads of security agencies, in a symbolic gesture of respect and gratitude. The ceremony witnessed a parade by a combined team of armed forces, police and paramilitary officers, the signing of the register and symbolic release of the pigeons to signify freedom.
In River State, we have fulfilled past promises to the Nigerian Legion, and we will continue to implement targeted policy and programs to improve their living condition. Furthermore, we will prioritize the inclusion of family of the fallen heroes in our social welfare and investment programs. May I also use this opportunity to call on the well-meaning citizens and private organizations to extend their support to these families, helping them overcome the economic challenges they often face. The government of River State will make a pledge now, which is redeemable tomorrow, the sum of 50 million naira for only the widows.
And here in Lagos State, still on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the state's Deputy Governor, Kadri Hamzat, has given assurances to the Nigerian Legion of continued support and improvement in their welfare packages. Deputy Governor made this comment at the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day ceremony at the Tafawa Balewa Square, Lagos Island. He says those still in service and officers who have sacrificed themselves will not be forgotten, and their loved ones will also be taken care of.
January 15th is a day set aside to honor troops who lost their lives in the line of duty while defending the territorial integrity of the country. The celebration for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is at the Tafawa Balewa Square. The Lagos State Deputy Governor, Kadri Hamzat, is here for the ceremony. He inspects the Guard of Honor. Next is the wreath laying, led by the Deputy Governor, Executive Council members, and military personnel. bombs are released into the air. The representatives of the Nigerian Legion and the widows call for better welfare for military officers.
One of the things is to keep the memory alive and kind of mark the memory of the fallen heroes and celebrate the armed forces generally. Another way is a way of expressing the gratitude of the living ex-servicemen, that is the military veterans. Their gratitude to the government and those that are supporting them, and still request for more support in order to fulfill the obligation of the Legion, which is the representative of the Nigerian ex-servicemen welfare in Nigeria.
Wives of the fallen heroes should be highly honored. The kind of reception they are giving us is not even fair. We are not properly recognized. It's our own husbands that fought and died for this nation. So they should be given more awareness on a day like this. We want the Lagos State to come to our aid. We have so many of our children that finish school. To get employment is a problem. Even some of them that wishes to join the force, they don't have that opportunity. The army have tried their best. They have given us sponsorship and they have paid us gratuity. But the states where we reside can still help us again.
The state government says the military officers will not be neglected.
Every year we do this in honor of our fallen heroes. We all know they sacrificed their lives so that we can all sleep. So it's an honor for them and we pray for them. And we also use this time to remember, this is the culmination when Mr. President launched this emblem, that Nigerians should also contribute because those people left people behind. They are widows. So a lot of us, we should take some of the children and be responsible for some of their things. So it's not just about this parade, it's about that process. And we just hope that Nigerians will eat so that we can always help to sustain our fallen heroes. So that basically is the essence of this, to remember and to tell them that we will never be forgotten.
The Lagos state government says the service of officers and soldiers will not be taken for granted and will always be supported to improve their services for the people.
Welcome back to the program. To health issues now. A suspected outbreak of the Marburg virus in northwest Tanzania has infected 9 people, killing 8 of them. This comes several weeks after an outbreak of the disease was declared over in neighboring Rwanda. The viral hemorrhagic fever has a fatality rate as high as 88% and is from the same family as the one responsible for Ebola, transmitted to people from fruit bats, which are endemic to that part of East Africa. The WHO says it received reliable reports of suspected cases in Kagera region of Tanzania on January 10 with symptoms of headache, high fever, back pain, diarrhea, vomiting, blood, muscle weakness, and finally external bleeding. Elsewhere, a Kenyan government minister is alleging that the country's National Intelligence Agency was behind the abduction of his son last year. As criticism against the rising cases of abductions continues, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi said that it took a call from President William Ruto for the National Intelligence Service to have his son released. Mr. Muturi is the first member of the cabinet to publicly criticize the government's handling of the spate of abductions in Kenya. In a statement to the Police Crime Investigations Unit, he gave a detailed account of how his son, Leslie, was abducted on June 22nd last year. Both the President and the intelligence agency have not commented on his allegations. According to a state-funded rights group, at least 80 people, including the minister's son, have been abducted in the last 6 months. Speaking of apparent abductions, a prominent opposition figure in Uganda is set to stand trial on charges of treachery. This was the ruling of a military court escalating the legal trouble Kizza Besigye ahead of presidential elections in 2026. Mr. Besigye, who has contested the presidency 4 times, went missing in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, on November 16. Days later, he and his co-accused, an assistant named Obaid Lutali, appeared before a military court in Kampala, the Ugandan capital. Mr. Besigye was charged with illegal possession of a firearm, and a charge relating to the alleged solicitation of military support overseas in order to destabilize national security. Mr. Besigye, who denied the charges, has since been remanded in custody. A military prosecutor amended the charge sheets to include treachery, a charge that carries the death penalty for those convicted. He also introduced a third suspect, a serving army officer, which surprised defense attorneys who then challenged the move. Elsewhere now, the late Nimba County Senator Prince Johnson has been honored at a solemn funeral wake attended by family, officials and hundreds of mourners. The ceremony was a testament to Mr. Johnson's enduring impact on Liberian politics and society. Liberia's Vice President Jeremiah Kung was among the officials who paid tribute to Mr. Johnson, singing hymns and sharing heartfelt words. During the procession, the body was briefly displayed outside the coffin as a mark of respect, with military personnel saluting the former rebel leader turned senator. Mr. Johnson was leading figure in the country's brutal civil wars, who was accused of carrying out massacres, torture and rapes. He also became a notorious figure after presiding over the torture and killing of a former president, which was caught on film. In the infamous video from the 1990s, he was later seen celebrating with cans of beer and looking on as his men mutilated former President Samuel Doe with a knife and then killed him. The funeral sparked mixed reactions, highlighting his controversial legacy.
Prince Johnson is great. He should give account the injuries and calling on God and all the injuries in heaven to come down and punish Prince Johnson for the innocent people that he killed, not the people you're fighting on the battlefront.
We have Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who became president under the stewardship of the destruction she brought. We still make her president. We have somebody who said, you kill my man, you kill my pa, I will vote for you. You have Taylor. Or Johnson, that did the crime.
After he killed our people, after he looted state resources and left our country abandoned, then he got money. So that blood money Prince Johnson has been trading on all along, and then having that his political will all across this country. We are happy that he is there today.
Mozambique's new president, Daniel Chapo, has been sworn in at a low-key ceremony in the capital, Maputo, more than 3 months after heavily disputed elections. Most businesses in Maputo were shut after defeat of presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane called for a national strike to protest against Mr. Chapo's inauguration. Mr. Chapo won the election held in October with 65% of the vote, extending the 49-year rule of the Frelimo party. Mr. Mondlane, who contested the election as an independent, came second with 24% of the vote. He rejected that result, saying it was rigged. Both Mozambique's leading opposition parties, Renamo and MDM, boycotted the proceedings as a sign that they do not recognize Mr. Chapo as the rightful winner of the election. And the bill to prolong President Emerson Mnangagwa's current mandate could be tabled before Parliament in a matter of days. The bill has already won the opposition's backing, with one of its henchmen saying that the party of opposition chief Nelson Chamisa would not block the bid when officially presented by the government if endorsed via a potential referendum. The change would delay elections until 2030. President Mnangagwa's current mandate expires in 2028. Zimbabwe's constitution limits the presidential office to 2 5-year terms, and Mr. Mnangagwa is serving his second and final term. Elsewhere now, dead bodies have been spotted in footage taken in a disused South African gold mine in Stilfontein, where trapped miners have been living for months. Footage purportedly taken on Saturday also shows several emancipated miners in an underground shaft. Their faces have been blurred. The rescue operation has been underway since Monday after a court ordered the government to arrange long overdue rescue efforts. Authorities had limited food and water supplies to those below the surface last year in an attempt to force them out and make arrests.
This is hunger. People are dying because of hunger. These people, you see, how are they? These are the people who must carry the dead people who are already dead here. These people must help to take those people out. And now the number of people who are already dead are close to 100. 96 right now. They are 96. Look at this. Look. Take a look at this. You see, people are dying. One is 20 people. People are dying here. Please help. Please, please, please help us. Bring us food or take us out so quickly. But please start with food because we don't have power. We don't have power. We are already dead. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look, how many days must you live in a situation like this?
It's a very frightening situation in the mines in South Africa. We'll close the program with this story. Iraq has officially assumed the rotating presidency of a group of 77 and China for the year 2025. This took place at a high-level reception held at the United Nations headquarters in New York on Tuesday. Iraqi Minister of Foreign Affairs Fuad Hussein accepted the presidency on behalf of his country from Uganda's delegation. Speaking at the ceremony, Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres spoke of his concern for developing nations who he believes have been handed the short end of the stick in climate change and other areas.
For too long, in too many ways, developing countries have been handed a raw deal on finance, in which development is deferred time and again by a lack of adequate and affordable finance and grinding cycles of debt service. A raw deal on climate support, with countries denied the resources required to build resilience and avert climate catastrophe they did little to cause. And the raw deal on representation at key decision-making bodies, from the global financial architecture to the governance of groundbreaking technology to the UN Security Council itself. 2025 must be the year of keeping promises to developing countries, to intensify our efforts to make the Sustainable Development Goals a reality for all people in all places, to put an end to poverty and hunger, transform education and create jobs, and provide equitable and affordable access to energy, technology, finance and markets, essential elements for developing countries to prosper, and to ensure developing countries can access the financial resources required to fuel development.
That's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Choke Rogers.